we see when Swayambhu Manu, along with his wife and daughter, arrived at the hermitage of Kardama, as being predicted or told by the Lord himself. So seeing that the monarch had come to his hermitage and was going before him, so this is the duty when we go to meet any saintly person, even though he is a monarch, even though he is a big king, he bowed down before Kardama Muni. And we'll be seeing that the sage greeted him with benedictions and received him with due honor. So if anyone comes and pays respect to any saintly persons, so saintly person duty is to give the blessings, benedictions, and also the due honor. We'll be seeing further when Swayambhu Manu paid obeisances to the Kardama Muni. Kardama Muni also paid obeisances to the monarch, Swayambhu Manu. So one of the lectures Prabhupada mentioned, when a disciple pays obeisance to a spiritual master, the spiritual master also pays obeisance to the disciple. But as a custom, he cannot pay outwardly, but internally he pays obeisances. So, the whole purpose of Vedic system was designed or was conjectured by the Lord so that every jiva can uplift his or her consciousness and gradually, slowly can move towards back to Godhead. So the whole purpose, the Lord has created this world so that the jivas can be purified. And also because they are very adamant to do the sense gratification, some facility of sense gratification is also embedded in the whole system. But that is not the purpose. Purpose is the person who cannot leave sense gratification suddenly at a one stage. There is opportunity is giving gradually, slowly. So that's the reason restrictions are there. Restriction means those things are not good. So, but one cannot leave it suddenly at a one stretch. So, gradual process also being recommended. Not for everyone, but one who can do at the one stage, he must do so. But if he cannot do, why the marriage system is there? Prabhupada says, legal, illegal, sex is bad. But if one cannot live completely, abstain, then some restriction to the marriage, you have a bona fide authorized. But ultimately, sannyasa was recommended. Balprastha, Grihastha, Balprastha and sannyasa. And also it is recommended our enjoying tendency. It could be in terms of honor, it could be in terms of gross enjoyment, it could be in terms of subtle enjoyment, has to be restricted and come to the platform. They are completely aloof. So, Krishna described in Bhagavad Gita the 20 item of knowledge. The first item, he says, amanitvam, humility, pridelessness. Even the gross matter, that is also the energy of Krishna, that belongs to Krishna. Krishna is honored the proprietor, even the gross matter. So the jiva, when you want to lord it over the material nature, or if the jiva is more strong desire to enjoy, what it says, he is put into the more extended laws of material nature. Like Bhakti Vinod Thakur said, Jad Vidya Maya Deva. Why the more material advancement, material knowledge, Jad Vidya, huge amount of research, actually Jad Maya Deva is more deeper, stronger into the Maya. Why? The whole purpose of so-called scientific advancement, economic advancement, to gratify the senses. If one can simply analyze so-called big universities, institutions in the world, whole sole purpose there to whatever research, whatever happening, big research institute. How can I enjoy this material world? So that's the reason it's called Jada Vidya Maya Deva. So Emperor Swayambhu Manu not only approached the cottage of dry leaves purchased by the hermit Kardama, but also offered respectful obeisance to him. Similarly, it was a duty of the hermit to offer blessings to king who used to approach his hermitage in the jungle. So after this, it happens. After receiving the seed's attention, the king sat down and was silent. Recalling the instructions of the Lord, Kardama then spoke to the king as follows, delighting him with his sweet accent. So it said, someone comes to you and give you respect, means kind of surrender to you, then your duty to make him feel comfortable. Now the Kardama Muni is saying, the tour you have taken, O Lord, is surely intended to protect the virtuous and kill the demons. Since you embody the protecting energy of Sri Hari. So here the king is called Nardeva. the God in the form of human being, the king. So that the Lord comes as paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha duskritam, to give protection to the devotees. Devotees means, what the devotee means? Devotee does not mean simply worshipping, but following the path given by the Lord. Sometimes the definition of devotee is misunderstood. So Lord helps those who tries, who endeavor so to go back to Godhead. So Lord wishes to protect, to help those with certain even material level. But on the contrary, the demons, they want to enjoy. Like Bhagavad Gita says, the 16th chapter, the definition. Demons means they think this world is meant for enjoy. This world is meant for the sex desire to enjoy. Lust. That's the only purpose they think. So they are put into the more and more darkness. Bhagavad Gita says in the 3rd chapter, any amount of sense gratification will not satisfy the jiva. Any amount. More so, it will become intoxicated and it will hanker for more and more. So Srimad Bhagavatam, even though we see the kings and other things, this kind of pastime, but these all are meant for us to learn from this, and because anyway we are in the material world, and gradually, slowly come out from the clutches of Maya. So that Nardeva is saying, Badhaye astam samrakshanai. So protecting to the pious. Badhai means for killing, asatam means a demon, and also satam samrakshanaya, protecting the virtuous. So the king's duty is very much, is not simply like today's modern society, by hook and crook they get a boat and just they want to enjoy. King's duty is very, very responsible. King position. Bhagavatam says in the 5th canto, Gurur na sasyat, swajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, devam na tatsyan, na patir chanasyan. So it is said that na mochet ya sampit mritum. So the king's duty to see that the citizen go back to Godhead. That's the one of the duty. One who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipful demigod, or even a king. So when we take a superior position, then that comes with some duty. Buddha always used to say, when you become a father and a mother, your duty, make sure your child go back to God. It's not simply just producing children and just enjoying sex life, no. And similarly, the Guru's spiritual master duty. The bona fide Guru makes sure his disciple go back to God. Buddha says, all of my disciples go back to God. There are many spiritual masters, but Rishabdeva advises that one should not become a spiritual master if he is unable to save his disciple from the path of birth and death. Similarly, if you become a king or if you take a superior position on any platform, he can be the head of the institution, he can be head of the family also, as we mentioned. Unless one is a pure devotee of Krishna, he cannot save himself from the path of repeated birth and death. Tyaktva deham punarjan neti mamiti suarjuna. One can stop birth and death only by returning home back to Godhead. However, who can go back to Godhead unless he understands the Supreme Lord in truth? Janma karma Shame divyam evam yo vetti tattata takta deham punarjan niti mamiti suvarjana. So we have many instances in history illustrating Rishabdeva's instructions. Sukracharya was rejected by Bali Maharaj due to his inability to save Bali Maharaj from the path of repeated birth and death. So one can reject his spiritual master if he is not able to help you to go back to Godhead. Such a spiritual master is bogus. And not only the bogus, he is punishable by Yamraj after death. Similarly, king is not just to enjoy the position of the executive head of the society, but if he does not help citizens to move in the direction of Krishna consciousness, he is a punishable. So Sukracharya was not a pure devotee, and he was more or less inclined to fruitive activity, and he objected when Bali Maharaj promised to give everything to the Lord Vishnu. Actually, one is supposed to give everything to the Lord because everything belongs to the Lord. Consequently, the Lord advised in Bhagavad Gita, Yad karosi, yad asnasi, yad jahosi dadasi, yad tapasya srikanteya, tad kurushav mad arpanam. So, O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me. Yagnarthat karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunteya. So any work which you do which is not meant for pleasing Krishna, actually we get bound by that karma. This is bhakti. Unless one is devoted, he cannot give everything to Supreme Lord. He has to do everything. Now, Prabhupada meant 50% of your earning you should give. But that's a special discount given by Srila Prabhupada. Krishna says you give everything, 100%. Unless one can do so, he cannot become a spiritual master. Husband duty also. And that's the reason it is said that a wife has to be very obedient to the husband. Serve the husband like the God. And the husband should also be in the Vaishnava. And by serving the husband, wife can go back to God. Only to serve the Vaishnava husband, servant husband. Similarly, the wives of the Brahmanas who were performing sacrifices gave up their relatives, husband, just to satisfy Krishna. So here we say also the Bali Maharaj gave up the spiritual master. Why is he giving the husband? Because they were becoming obstacles into the path of going back to God. This is an example of wife rejecting husband who cannot deliver her from the impending dangers of birth and death. Similarly, Prahlad Maharaj rejected his father and Bharat Maharaj rejected his mother. Janni na sashas. Mother is not able to deliver. So the word Devam indicates demigods, or one who accepts worship from a dependent. So if somebody is serving you, it's your duty to help him. If we get any help from anyone, we are obliged to really help them. So if you are getting some donation from someone, it's our duty to help that jiva so that the jiva can eternally benefit. Ordinarily, the spiritual master, husband, father, mother, or superior relative accept worship or respect from an inferior relative. But here Rishabdeva forbade this. Prabhupada writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we should not accept obeisances from anyone. If somebody touches your feet, you are obliged to help. Even worship. So here Rishabdeva forbids this. First, the father, spiritual master, husband must be able to release the dependent from repeated birth and death. If he cannot do this, he plunges himself in the ocean of reproachment from the unlawful activities. Everyone should be very responsible and take charge of his dependent, just as a spiritual master takes charge of his disciple or a father takes charge of his son. All these responsibility cannot be discharged honestly unless one can save the dependent from repeated birth. So one has to be, if you are receiving anything, worship, obeisance from anyone, we are obliged to have. unless until he is completely surrendered to Krishna. And when the Bhishma Deva, he was lying on the deathbed, Maharaj Yudhishthira, with his all younger brothers, he goes. And there, in particular, that scenario, Bhishma Deva gave instructions about the duties of a king, and lot of others, but duties of the king also given by what is the duty of a king. And as it is said that when the purpose of king touring is that see that no pious soul can get suffer. In the ancient Vedic culture, pious kings, Kshatriyas, would tour their kingdom to protect the virtuous, the pious souls, and chastise or eradicate the undesirable elements. That's the duty. Similarly, if you are head of an institution, or even if you are head of a department, it's your duty to protect the virtuous or those who are not having fault. See, if you do some, you should be very honestly dealing. Violence for a good cause is encouraged. Like in Bhagavad Gita it said, foolishly Mahatma Gandhi, take out reading Bhagavad Gita, he says this is non-violence. Violence for good cause is even if you say Bhagavad Gita, Krishna was there. So violence for protecting and maintaining the law and order is sanctioned by the law. A king enforces the law is considered a representative of the Supreme Lord's protecting energy. So after witnessing the great massacre that just took place in a great war of Mahabharata and Kurukshetra, Maharaj Yudhishthira was full of grief and self-condemnation. He was feeling very down. He said, because of my being a king, so many people have died. In that remorseful state, when Yudhishthira went to perform final rites of his slain relative, Kunti told Yudhishthira, please offer water and Ganges for Karna as well. Blah blah blah, something on that. Then Krishna asked Pandavas to go to Bhishma Deva, because Bhishma Deva was waiting for the Uttarayana to come. So the Acharya gives commentary, is he was waiting for Uttarayana. Uttarayana has two meanings. One is Uttarayana, which we talk. Another Uttarayana is the name of Krishna. Actually, he was waiting to have a darshan of Krishna. When a person is sick or on the verge of death, their loved ones usually visit them in sober attire. However, Yudhishthira understood that visiting Bhishma was an occasion of higher purpose and pleasure. Bhishma had already dreamed of his grandson attaining the position of the ruler of the world. So when went to visit Krishna in his palace, and he asked, please go and take lessons from Bhishma. And because Krishna himself is could have given lessons about many things, but he asked Yudhishthira to go to Bhishma. Why? Because the Lord always wants to give credit to his devotees. Then when they reached there in the front, then Bhishma spoke weakly. O Krishna, you are the spiritual master of the whole world. As a disciple, how can I speak in the presence of a guru? You should speak, and we will all listen. I am in great pain, and my voice is weak. To sing Bhishma. My body has lost all strength, and my memory is fading. In such a state, how can I speak? O Krishna, please speak, and I will listen. Krishna says, no, Bhishma, it is you who are meant to instruct in this moment. Please speak, and as far as your pain is concerned, I give you a blessing. From this moment till the end of your life, you will feel no pain, no hunger, no thirst, and no anxiety. Your mind and consciousness will be as clear as they were in your youth. Your voice will be as resonant and strong as it was when you were in the most vibrant of health. Like this. So while Yudhishthira was lamenting how much everyone had suffered because of him and how Bhishma was also suffering, Bhishma was so selfless that when he was on the arrow bed, he did not think about how he was suffering. He said how inconceivable and the heart breaking it is that, O Yudhishthira, you had to suffer so much, although you were virtuous personalities. Not because he is glorifying King Yudhishthira, Bhismadeva. Then Bhima knew that this devotional explanation would pacify and energize Arjuna. He says about it. Now he comes to the point of the duties of a king. A king must be a devotee of Supreme Lord and worshipper of the Brahmanas. So king must be a devotee. By worshipping deities and Brahmanas, the debt of a dharma is paid and the king becomes loved by all. Destiny and efforts are the two great factors that influence the lives of men. Of two, effort is more important because destiny is nothing more than the results of one's past endeavors. Therefore, even while receiving an unfavorable result, a king should continue to perform his duty consciously without becoming overwhelmed by grief. So, kings should be very tolerant. To follow the vows of truthfulness is the next great qualification of the king. He should be truthful, for nothing else can inspire the citizen to have confidence in him. Indeed, simply by adhering to the truthfulness of speech, one becomes very eloquent and achieves the tangible fame. A king should be humble He should exhibit good behavior. His passion should be subdued and he should not be too meddlesome. A king should be very straightforward in his dealings. A king means even any head, but he should also be very careful to conceal his weaknesses. If a king is too mild, people will treat him very casually. On the other hand, if he is too fierce, the citizens will put into unnecessary anxiety. The most valuable assets of a king are his properly selecting servants and the respect and spontaneous service attitude of his subjects. So he should have respect for the citizens and spontaneous service. Therefore, the citizens should always be dealt with fairly and compassionately. So, like this, there are many duties. All. A king must always be ready to act decisively, not like a fickle and procrastinatingly. If a king discloses his plan and secret, he brings the great danger down on his head. A king should never repose his confidence in unknown person. A king should administer justice like Yamraj, amass wealth like Kovera. He should always be careful to address others pleasingly, avoiding sharp countenances. So the king has to be very strong. Then only he can be put the things in the right order. A king should employ in his service those who are brave, devoted, and incapable of being deceived by enemies. Those are very faithful to him. A king should be careful not to make the slightest distinction between such confidential servants and himself in terms of he should not be taking the side of anyone. So like here we see the Swayambhu Manu when he was approached, then Kardamamuni have dealt him according to the scriptural point of view, and as king paid obeisances, he also paid obeisances and made him very comfortably. And I will see further how things will move and the discussion, and devotee get married to the Kardamamuni. I will stop there. Vrindavan Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Purush Gopal, Jai Bhur Premanandi